People are often told that the way to change the world is through your personal choices. Shop local. Use a recyclable cup. Avoid fast fashion. This is good advice, but it puts all the pressure onto you, the ordinary person. It says if things are broken under capitalism, that must be the individual's fault. It's your consumer choices. You made the wrong choices. That's not true. The way the world is run is not shaped by your shopping habits. It's shaped by invisible systems that run in the background. Most of these systems were set up decades, if not centuries ago. And these systems firstly decide what's grown, decides how things are made, who gets rich from the things, who doesn't, and what you buy. How can it be your consumer choice when you don't have control of the choices? I don't want to buy Coca-Cola, but I walk into a shop and it is wall-to-wall bottles of Coca-Cola. The first thing that actually shapes the disastrous world of late-stage capitalism is trade law, rules between countries about what they as a country can buy and sell, never mind an individual inside of the country. Trade agreements are what decide what you see on the shelves in Tesco, what goods are cheap versus which ones are expensive, and what jobs stay local or get moved overseas. These trade agreements are written by governments and big business together. The ordinary people do not get a say. Poorer countries get bullied to open their markets to these big foreign companies who instructed the government to write the trade agreement in the first place, like Coca-Cola. This means local government is forced to stop supporting local farmers and small business. And once that happens, these cheap crap goods flood in. And so local businesses in your country cannot compete and they shut down. The country is then dependent on these outside companies to provide basic essentials like food and clothing, fuel, and now lately water. If a government tries to resist the rules of global finance, they lose access to trade, to aid, to markets, to loans, and in the worst case scenario, they might receive threats from Uncle Sam. This is how global trade policy is quietly changing what you can buy to eat, how you're able to work or find work, and the reliability of your entire infrastructure, basically. Then there's ownership law, copyright law, laws that say who is allowed to use a seed. That's real. Only certain companies can use certain seeds. Same with who can play a song, who can use a medicine, or even who can repeat a recipe. Coca-Cola is a trade secret. These laws were designed initially to protect people's creativity, but they never did. They protected corporate ownership of creativity. I've done a video into the history. I've done a whole playlist into the history of copyright law if you want to rabbit hole that one. It makes me very angry as a creative. But outside the context of creative, the same laws will allow a multinational faceless corporation to patent a seed that farmers have been using for thousands of years. So now only one of the big ones can. And if a farmer reuses the seed, they can be taken to court. This means that farmers have to keep buying seeds from these companies. So you're not allowed, when the fruit seeds itself, you're not allowed to reuse the new seed. You have to go back and buy new ones from Monsanto or whoever the fuck. I don't care. Not naming people. Actually, I am naming people. It's Monsanto. Bayer. Fuck off. The same thing happens with life-saving medications. Even if a country creates its own cheap version, patent blocks stop them from using it. These laws are enforced through global trade rules. And if a country breaks one of these rules, it's the same as before. They are locked out of aid, trade, and they get Big Sam at the door. 800 army bases to defend Monsanto's theft of seeds that fall out of the trees. There is control applied to what you can see online. I still don't really know how I'm getting past these censors, but okay, we're still here. The reality of it is a few big companies own the platforms and the apps that we are here living on, having political town halls and building community with. Don't flatten this to just social media influencing. These are vital tools for the future of humanity, and they're being weaponized, politically weaponized by people like Mark Zuckerberg. Search engines, social media, shopping sites, video platforms. These companies are deciding what you get to see through algorithms. I have 100,000 followers on TikTok because TikTok is a little bit looser with the censorship. I have like 5 on YouTube because YouTube smashes me down for being a leftist. You don't see the algorithm, but the algorithm means nobody sees you. And you are left to take that personally. I can't make the quality of the videos better. I can start talking about the Kardashians, maybe that might help. But I need to get the information to you. I'm working against the algorithm. Algorithms trained on Western bias decide what kind of content makes money or goes viral or is successful. This affects what people are able to talk about, what businesses can perform in the market. This is why the TikTok shop is a liberation for Western economies, because independent retailers can just get on up here and start selling to people. TikTok is starting to democratize, but that doesn't mean that it's not algorithmically biased. And if I don't follow TikTok's rules, they let me know very quickly, and you can be banned. 2 strikes, you're out. I mentioned a certain date in September, and I got accused of being an extremist. TikTok has already shown me where its red lines are, and while they are not as extreme as YouTube's, they're there. There are things that I wish I could tell you, but I cannot say without getting myself in trouble. The next thing, systemic structure that controls the world that you do not see or think about enough, is money. Money is not bad, it is a tool. Money is a tool. Quote is David McWilliams. Read this book if you want to talk about money. It's really, really good. It's like a history of money. Anyway, what I'm about to say does not come out of his book, by the way. It's a little bit more leftist than I think David would want his name attached to. Well, I don't know. Maybe. Sup. I'll come on your podcast if you have any issues. We can talk about it, Dave. So, big banks, private investors, and BlackRock, Vanguard, Fidelity, these big corporate investors. I'll talk about, having worked inside of Fidelity, what the internal structure... Well, I'm not going to, commit espionage, but I wasn't that deep inside Fidelity's matrix to have known anything sensitive. But I can tell you that, it's decentralized decision-making. So there's not very many people within the system who feel personally responsible for these outcomes, if that makes sense. It's deflected authority. When bad decisions have to be made, they are sterilized first of any human empathy, and it's what the system needs. Anyway, none of these companies base their profit objectives, their profit growth objectives, on public need. Not a single one of them gives a fuck about how many parks in the local area. They don't care. They care about how much profit they can expect to make every quarter and every year and every periodic cycle. They don't think further than 4 years. Senior leadership are often trying to get their money out, get their bonus up. It's extremely short-sighted and often lends itself to narcissistic success. People within these spaces are elevated for all the wrong reasons, for being brutish and competitive and ruthless. So, if a small town needs housing, it's very unlikely to find that private funding, and it's extremely unlikely these days that it's going to be a state-backed project. So instead, this small town that needs housing ends up with a giant luxury condominium complex that nobody can afford, turns into Airbnb rentals, and removes the culture and community of the town that it was designed to help. So whole regions can end up without jobs, without housing, because no one wants to invest in them, because the system isn't based on fairness. It's about on what someone can get back out of it. What's the return on investment? I'm running out of time again. There's still 3 more of these. Part 2, or more secret systems. The point of my video is that we need to stop feeling guilty about individual consumer choices. Yes, you can boycott Coca-Cola, but that's not going to be enough.